Hey, what's going on, people? Indie Pride here, and yeah, we'll be getting back to Total War content very soon, I promise, but I really like Vermintide, so I did want to cover this. The Karak Azgaraz DLC has been officially announced for Vermintide, and it will be dropping alongside a monster patch with tons of weapon rebalancing and gameplay changes. There is currently an open beta going on that will allow you to try out these new changes for yourself, and a new map from the DLC called Chain of Fire that you can run through if you opt into the beta. I told some of my viewers on my last Vermintide video that I'd do some gameplay videos of the new DLC when it dropped, so here we are running through the Chain of Fire mission on Nightmare difficulty with Carillion the Waywatcher, equipped with a glaive and the longbow. First thing you're going to notice on this mission, the map is effing gorgeous. There's a reason why I said I love snow levels in video games, especially at night. Chain of Fire is a perfect example of what I was talking about. Nothing quite gets you in the Christmas spirit like falling snow, hanging icicles, torch and moonlight reflecting off your surroundings, and hundreds of Skaven getting mowed down and cut into unrecognizable pieces of flesh. They've also added a really cool new detail on the Skaven in the snow maps you'll see in this gameplay. They're covered in frost, and you can literally see clumps of their fur frozen together and just kind of dusted with snow. It's like a really minor effect, but it looks amazing. And you can even see their breath when they're in groups huddling together for warmth. So I think there are a lot of really nice touches and attention to detail included in this DLC on the one map I've played thus far. Second thing you're going to note, and this is much more important, performance has improved drastically. On max settings, I'm hovering around 100 FPS for the vast majority of each run. And even when we get to ambushes or hordes starting to roll in with gas bombs getting dropped and rattling gunners letting it rip, I'm very infrequently dropping below 90 FPS, which is a far cry from how performance was on launch, but even compared to my play sessions from like 2 days ago, there's a pretty obvious improvement, I feel. I'm very, very happy with how smooth the gameplay is in the beta right now. Optimization seems to be at its best point ever, by far, so hopefully, and I assume it will, that will carry over to the final patch. So what is the Karak Azgaraz DLC going to bring to the table? Well, it's going to be a lot like the Castle Drakenfels DLC, it seems. Going to be 2 new weapons and 3 new dwarf-themed maps centered in and around the Grey Mountains, and a huge patch, like I said, to come with it as well. The new weapons are a dwarf war pick, similar to what you would see a dwarf miner carrying into battle, but much fancier in the higher rarities. You're going to see some gold and jewels on it, and the Witch Hunter Falchion, which is just a new type of sword for Saltzpyre, the Witch Hunter. I will say I am a little disappointed. Those are the coolest weapons Fat Shark could come up with in the 6 or so months since Castle Drakenfels dropped. The Witch Hunter sword looks like it has the exact same attack pattern as Kruber's one-handed sword that's already in the game, and the pickaxe attack animations are quite similar to the two-handed axe that he already has. They will certainly have different traits and damage that differentiates them, much like the glaive did when it was released for Castle Drakenfels, but I confess I was hoping for some more unique weapons. There were actually some really cool leaked pictures of what looked like a Drake Gun flamethrower, a spear that was probably going to be for the Empire soldier, and a really vicious looking two-handed elf sword. And I guess those aren't making it in yet, or they were faked. I'm not sure which, but given all of the Warhammer lore there is to pull from, I was hoping for a few more interesting choices rather than a sword variant that pretty much already exists in the game. But I'll get over it. I mean, this isn't true for everybody, because obviously not everybody likes Vermintide, but what has kept me coming back is the core gameplay and how damn satisfying it is to avoid getting hit and slice through hundreds of Skaven at the same time. Very few melee-focused games that I've ever played handle melee combat as well as Vermintide does. When you hit a clan rat in the leg comes off. When you smack a group of slave rats in the ribs with a hammer, they go flying. When you land that perfect strike on the neck of a storm vermin, you get a very satisfying decapitation. Combat just feels good, and the basics of it are simple and really easy to learn, but the skill ceiling is also really high, and being able to actually avoid damage consistently takes a lot of practice, and it's really rewarding making it through a tough run with minimal damage taken. That's what keeps me coming back, along with a loot system that rewards you with new weapons and visual upgrades when you complete a run. Now, we can all agree, the loot system, well, if you played Vermintide, we can all agree, the loot system is far from perfect, and at times it's downright frustrating. Beating a Cataclysm run by the skin of your teeth and then rolling a 0 has got to be one of the most frustrating rewards, quote-unquote, to seriously challenging gameplay ever. But Fat Shark has taken some clear steps in improving the loot system, the free quests and contracts DLC, allowing you to pick which weapons and trinkets you want when they show up on the board, and the rebalance of the loot table so that your likelihood of dropping rare, cool weapons is much greater. But not everybody thinks core gameplay in Vermintide creates enough replayability to carry the game on its own. And for those people, they probably want more unique weapons and many more unique maps than what has been created thus far. And without those additions, they just got bored and they stopped playing, which I definitely understand. Fat Shark is a small developer, and they work very slowly when compared to a developer like Creative Assembly or some other big developers in the market, and that's very frustrating for some people. It certainly had a big impact on the size of the Vermintide player base over the last year. People that felt like the patches just weren't coming soon enough, the extra content wasn't coming fast enough. But whether they work fast enough for your liking or not, I still think they've done a pretty decent job of working on the game and working on improving the player experience. The game is still far from perfect. I'll be the first to admit that. There are still plenty of bugs, and some will still be present when the new DLC goes live. But regardless, I do think that this beta patch is the best we've had for Vermintide. The new map is beautiful and a ton of fun to play. And if you've been on the fence about buying this game, now or the next time it goes on sale, I think will be a great time to get it. And I do thoroughly recommend it. I think it's really good, and there are very few games that I've bought for half the price of a AAA retail game that have given me this kind of mileage. In fact, there are tons of full retail price purchases I've made that haven't gotten me anywhere close to the kind of mileage that Vermintide has given me. So that is my glowing endorsement for the day. In terms of the patch itself, lots of changes and rebalancing of weapons, mostly for the good. Storm Vermin patrols on Nightmare and Cataclysm are horrifying now. They've almost doubled in size. They're rolling groups of up to like 20 heavily armored dudes. And remember that on Cataclysm, one Storm Vermin, just one, can one-shot you with an overhead attack. So, yeah, that can lead to some pretty interesting and satisfying combat moments when you're forced to fight full patrols. And I've already had a really tense moment on a Cata run where my group had to huddle in a corner and hide as a group of like 20 Racky Blackfurs marched within spitting distance of us, and we didn't get seen then, but we also didn't complete the run either. So those moments are really tense, and they're actually terrifying now on the higher difficulties. Previously, I think there were only like 10 max or so in a Storm Vermin patrol, so they definitely made those a lot more horrifying to deal with. One-handed weapons like the Dwarf Axe without the shield and Saltspire's Axe have been rebalanced to be much more viable on the higher difficulties. They do more damage now, they attack faster, they hit more targets, and they allow you to move quicker when blocking, which gives them some extra utility that wasn't there before. A lot of the weapons that were complete trash before have been rebalanced to be more effective, and some of the kind of broken stuff has been fixed. So the Waywatcher True Flight bow and the Bright Wizard Bolt Staff have been nerfed. They were the two aimbot weapons in Vermintide where you could simply just shoot up into the air and start headshotting everything on the map, which was pretty ridiculous. You could cheese it really hard just by staring up at Morslib and just start shooting with your bow, and you'll be getting headshots all over the map, and it was definitely kind of cheesy. So they fixed those kind of like brokenly OP weapons, and I was sad to learn about this, but it was also probably a fair change. The Waywatcher Glaive, which I'm using now, can no longer one-shot clan rats with attacks to the body on Cataclysm, which made it amazing for clearing the ambient trash rats that kind of mill around on each level. And you can still one-shot clan rats, don't get me wrong, but you need a headshot. And the swing pattern for headshotting with the glaive is pretty difficult to master. So it's definitely a weaker weapon now, has been rebalanced to not be quite so OP. Stuff like the longbow that I'm using now has been made more efficient. It headshots better with swift attacks, and basically across the board, weapons have been rebalanced to either become brought more in line with the cast or just made better if they were terrible. There are a bunch of other changes in the patch notes that I'll leave in the description, and also link the DLC information for you to peruse at your leisure. I think it's going to end up being around $8 like the other DLCs from Vermintide thus far. I'll definitely get my money's worth out of that purchase, but again, I think it's cool they're allowing people to try out the new map for free to see if they want to buy the full pack. Now, unfortunately, don't think we'll be getting a Vermintide Goes to Lustria expansion anytime soon. maybe one day, you know, like there's some really cool stuff they could do with this game when it comes to full-blown expansions and sequels, and I kind of feel personally invested in the success of this series at this point. I really want Fat Shark to do well and continue creating some awesome stuff, because I've really enjoyed this first game. I know it hasn't been everyone's cup of tea, but I really, really like it. Now, much like I did with the Space Hulk Deathwing gameplay I covered last time, I'm going to leave the end of this video without commentary, just so you can see some gameplay and get that full audio experience for those who want it. But if you have any questions about the game or combat, I can probably answer them for you, and I will very likely be doing commentaries over the other 2 maps that will be included in this DLC pack when it is officially out. Gonna peace out for now. Have a good one, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Watch out! Gas! Kill the vermin before it grows! I could have killed him quicker. A vile stench won't save you, Squire Rats.
It's going to blow.
Roland's eyes! The fire's ready to take!
That plate waits the flame. Keep it weighted down.
Like that. A challenge at last. Moment here. That's a gas rat. Moment here. Over there. Big kettle.
Stand on that plate. It's a rattling one.
A good kill. Guess I need to be faster.
Let's not get carried away.
Press down on that plate to set the beacon blazing.
Even I can't fight with the arm hanging off. Yes, that's right. Can't risk a
So they
scar
saw.
on that pretty
For what
face,
it's
can
worth, I hope it helps.
Very well. Do not trust in hope, it will betray you. Only faith and hatred.
Stop
stay.
roasting me!
Folk mouth.
Up and get in.